over time, right? Because it's obviously it's not something that happens right away, but learning to be okay with who and how you are in the world. Because the world will tell you that everything is wrong with you. I don't care what your intersectionality is. The world will tell you that whatever that thing is that you're showing up as today, that's the wrong thing. Oh, you should have came here on Tuesday. We're not taking curly hair black girls today. Come back on Tuesday. Maybe we'll do that on Tuesday, right? Or, oh, no women today. Come back on Thursday, right? So it always seemed like it's the wrong time. And I just want to, for anyone that's hearing the sound of my voice, to understand that it's never the wrong time to be who you are.
Welcome everyone to another episode in the Survivor School Masterclass series. And tonight we have Malaika Simmons. She is a TEDx speaker and the CEO of, let me get it right, Momentology Media. Is that correct? Awesome. So I'm going to pass this over to Malaika. She can maybe tell us a little bit about what Momentology Media is. And I think she's going to help us break down how to get over some analysis paralysis, find our true inner selves, and so we can finally get out of our own way and do the things that are really important to us in life. So, Malaika, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you guys are catching this. I'm so happy to share space with you today. I am Malaika Simmons, Malaika as in I like the Malaika, and I'm so excited to be here. This is one of my favorite topics, breaking free, freeing yourself, letting go, all of these different things. So I hope you brought a snack, a pen and a notebook, but you might want a snack. I'm just saying. We'll be here for a second. The title is Break Free from Analysis Paralysis, because I'm sure most of you can relate that when you feel really stuck, it feels like you're pulling so hard and you just want to get out and you can't get anywhere. However, I want you to listen with the T, right? That means put your whole ears on this. I urge you not to break free, but to simply let go. There you go. That's all I got. Thank y'all for coming. God bless and good night. That's the end of it. No, I'm joking. I'm only half joking, right? But let's talk a little bit about it. First of all, I want to say that I want to acknowledge your space in your place and showing up here today, showing up for the masterclass, but more importantly, showing up for yourselves. Right. Sometimes we get so wound up, like we don't know how to unwind. And sometimes people don't notice. We're just kind of going through blindly in our own minds and brains, right? Well, if nobody else told you, I want to tell you today that you matter. And I want to ask how you are. And so if the chat will allow, hopefully, I would love if you will put in the chat where you're dialing in from, where you're calling in from, where you're logging in from. And if you can, sometimes it'll let you, sometimes it won't. If you can, put a little emoji just to tell me how you're doing today. We're going to talk about what it means to say, how are you? Right? In South Africa, they say sawubona, which means I see you. And the response is yebo, which means yes. So it's an acknowledgement and an agreement that one human sees another human. Similarly, Ubuntu. Ubuntu is I am because you are. That acknowledgement is that we are acknowledging each other's spirit. Namaste, I bow to you, or actually more correctly, the light in me bows to the light in you. So you can see there's a trend here happening, right? Where we're acknowledging each other in the space that we take. And there is another one, well, ngate kamye. Now I wonder, I don't have my Marvel / media folks on maybe tonight, but if you recognize well Nate Kamye, it's because it is from the Navi, and the Navi are the mysterious blue people, the Avatar. So even in the movie world, they know that I see you is important because humans want to be seen, right? So if you ever thought about what it really means to say, how are you, and what it means to recognize something in the other person, you'll realize that empathy is really important. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today. As a result of working with me, my clients experience a renewed sense of self because they learn how to see themselves and others in the time and space that they exist right now. That means I see and accept you as you are in this moment. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through. So who am I? Well, thank you for asking. Like most of you, I've had many titles, personally and professionally. They've overlapped, They have come sequentially, been repeated. Some got yanked out from under me, others graciously awarded to me, and some, only a few that know me well, know they are. I'm a mom, a wife, sister, daughter, granddaughter. My grandma is my best friend, though, and now a grandmother myself. So lots of intersectionality going on there, right? I've run several businesses, including a restaurant, a consulting firm or two. I'm an international speaker who has spoken to audiences in London, Israel, Nigeria, South Africa. I'm a human-centered design strategist and a humanist, and a doctoral student in international psychology, and a believer. Now, with all of that, the last thing, well, okay, never believe me, y'all, when I say last thing, it's probably not, but I am the creator of the Momentology Method. It's an intentional framework for living, and I'm also the founder of Momentology Media. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much and so many different things that we all do. So I'm hoping that tonight I can help you be just a little bit more of you. And I hope you'll see that when using the Momentology Method, you are possible. And the more you light up, the more the world shines. So, what's the Momentology Method? Momentology Method is a study and practice with an emphasis on practice of operating in the moment, serving from your highest and to your best use. It's leveraging all that you already have to be more of what you already are. It's how you be, do, or have a life by design rather than default. So you are in the right place. If you are ready to let go of the fear and self-doubt that may be holding you back. If you wish you can learn simple, effective ways to quiet your mind, overcome overwhelm, and make decisions that move you closer to your goals. If you'd like to know how to recognize your existing strengths and skills and stop second guessing yourself, and if you're ready to step up, speak up, and level up to the life you've been dreaming about, you're in the right place. Don't you just center yourself? We can all agree that if we could just eliminate fear, we could make better decisions and finally take actions toward our goals. If we could break free from analysis paralysis and eliminate the overwhelm, we could finally step into our true strengths. And the problem isn't that you need more resources like money, time, or more knowledge. The real problem is that you're too overwhelmed to see and access the resources you already have. So many people think that they need a better degree or more experience or to get a better job, or they just want to ask for a raise. But it starts sort of a bad cycle, because when you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, it feels like something's missing. And we seek all these external resources to fulfill these needs, but that just pushes us farther and farther into scarcity and survival. Okay, so you think, oh, I need a better job so I can take a vacation. But to get the better job, I never take a vacation. Then I feel stressed and I don't perform well. Then I don't get the promotion. So now I really need a vacation. But now I know, shoot, I need to take these classes. Why? Because I didn't get that job, right? Does that sound familiar to anybody? These are the things that we go through, that we put ourselves through. And I would say sometimes needlessly so. The truth is, what we focus on expands. In fact, focusing on problems creates more stress, which can make you forgetful, disorganized, and more stressed out. Others notice when we are so stressed and they're trying to help, right? Often they try to compensate for us with giving us less duties, or not calling us when the next party is coming, or not inviting us to things to participate. So while others might mean well, this can translate to us feeling incapable, feeling less dependable, and that leaves you feeling, well, unworthy and frustrated, right? Because you're constantly fighting to articulate what you want and what your value is in the world. That's why, in order to eliminate the fear and break through analysis paralysis to achieve your goals, we have to break the cycle and step into our strengths. And to keep you from getting overwhelmed and letting fear of decision making paralyze you, I created the Momentology Method. This method of everyday living helps you to have the courage to name what you want, the confidence to articulate your needs, and the conviction to design a life of productivity, peace, and ultimately profit. Unapologetically, without sacrificing your integrity or authenticity, no cape required. I call it living a momentous life. It's where the things you do matter and the things that matter to you get done. One of these things that I found interesting, I did a little search and I found that the most searched words on the internet from last year were confidence, leadership, motivation, creativity, and communication. The most searched terms. Some of the most searched sentences were how to handle stress and how to deal with panic attacks. And oddly enough, in 2023, what time is it? I don't know what that's about. Like your phone has a clock, your cable box has a clock. Yeah, like I'm not sure why people are searching for what time is it, but there you go. I just had to add that because I thought it was funny. So Margaret Mead, who's a very famous anthropologist, said that what people say, what they do, and what they say they do are three different things. What follows I am follows you. What do you put after the words I am? Are you saying I am tired? I am frustrated. I am sad. I am angry. Or do you say I'm focused on, I aspire to, I'm working towards, I am enjoying? It's not simply what you say, it's how you feel when you say it. And there's here's some sentence prompts that can help you on your way. I love, I will, I see myself, I am deciding to, I'm dedicated to. When you find yourself starting the I am in an low vibrational, low frequency makes you feel that way, try to flip it on its head and say the opposite. I was volunteering for my daughter's school and we were picking teams for a tug of war. And several of the girls, they were like, we can't do boys against girls, we'll lose. So the boys were all cheering, laughing. So I was just, they're young people, right? I was so shocked at their willingness to accept defeat before even trying. So I said, we are doing boys versus girls and line up. And before we got started, I pulled all the girls and told them that they were strong and capable, and it didn't matter whether they won the match or not. They were never to decide to lose before they tried to win. So they started the fight like a girl chant and they lined up. Yes, they won. They won. And you can see that there's that little arrow is pointed to all the sulky boys standing behind, trying to figure out what the heck happened when these little girls came and showed up and showed out. So are you telling yourself how you'll fall short before you even stand up? What follows I am follows you. Do today that thing you said you can't do. At least step up to the line. Step up to the tug of war plate, right? To be clear, you already won. You just have to claim it. I don't know if you guys remember, if you all remember this cartoon. There's been lots of iterations. This is a very old one, actually, but Alice in Wonderland. One of my favorite scenes in Alice in Wonderland, since I was a little kid, was when the caterpillar says, "Who are you?" Because he doesn't just say, "Well, who are you?" You know, he's smoking this little hookah and he's got the smoke rings and it's, "Who are you?" And Alice is very annoyed. "Well, I'm Alice. Who are you?" And he keeps asking her. She's very annoyed. She goes on about her day. She meets the rabbit and all the other characters and everything. But that stuck with me. It stuck with me because we don't really say who we are. I say I'm Malaika, right? You may say I'm Karen. But what does that actually mean? Who actually are you beneath everything that you show the world? When you're trying to lead others, you try to lead yourself, when you try to perform, you know, if you're trying to reach a goal, in order to be a good leader, to get to where you want to go, you have to know yourself. What qualities do you most value in relationships? And how do those qualities affect your own values? We'll talk about how to include these into a daily practice that you can remember in just a moment. So, who are you? If you have it, I'd like you to take out a piece of paper, draw a big old heart on the paper, and I want you to start writing down who you are. Mine is up there. I have a workshop facilitator. I'm a speaker. I've been an associate vice president, a CEO, a COO. I'm an HCD, human centered design strategist. I love research. I've been a planner, a trainer, a director. Now, I don't even have mom and sis and all that other stuff in there. I have to think about that next time. I'll put it in there. There's a lot of me in that heart, right? Start writing down all your titles. Now, I want you to circle the ones that you really love, that just make you happy, just writing it, that you're proud of, that you enjoy, and underline those that you might have the title, but you're like, meh, whatever. Or maybe you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you're almost avoiding putting it on the paper. I want you to write that one down. Don't cross it out. Don't put a line through it. For now, just underline, and we'll come back to it. I bet you think that money will make you happy. But what if happy made you money? Who would you be if you chose happiness first? If you freed yourself from all the things that you think are necessary in order for you to live a momentous life? Free yourself from the stories of what you can't do because you can see how much you can do. Free yourself from being obligated to pay your dues. Free yourself from living in others' expectations, and free yourself from any and everything that doesn't serve you. And now, like in this moment, right now, not when you get the next degree, not when the kids get older, not the next job says you're ready, none of that. You want promotions, raises, bonuses, contracts, customers? You need peace, productivity, profits. You need to walk in your purpose and get that paper and believe God for the promises that are already written. Y'all are doing too much. Let me tell you about Jay. When my client Jay came to me, we worked on her fear of getting back to work after a layoff as a widowed mother with special needs children at home. She told herself she would never find a job that allowed her the flexibility she needed without going back to school or starting or taking a serious pay cut. She wanted to know how she can shift out of where she was to get where she wanted to be. And this is just an excerpt from something that she wrote me, she sent me. It just made my heart happy for lots of reasons. One, I absolutely love working with women executives. I love working with women managers. I love working with women florists and teachers and PTA staff. I love helping people understand that there is power within their fingertips. There's power right here. You already have what you need. So how did she shift out of overwhelming fear? And by the way, when she came to work with me, she wasn't employed. She had been laid off. And she still said, I had enough. I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to invest in me. What can we do? So we worked together. I helped her get clear on what she was most thrilled about, what she loved, what her joy was, because it was kind of hard to find your joy when you're in survival mode. She's got kids. She's got special needs kids, you know? Why are you talking to me about joy and doing fun stuff? I don't have time for fun stuff. She got clear on what was most important to her when everything felt important. I helped her to research organizations that had the perks that matched her needs because she was convinced that there was no company out there that could fit and match the needs that she had, and align her current strength with the needs of the companies. Then center her interviews around her strengths. A lot of times we go for these jobs and we feel like, yes, it is an interview, but we feel like we have to show up and be something for them, but not realizing you are actually interviewing them as well. And if you're able to center your strengths around the things that they need, it's a win-win. So she landed a job she thought didn't exist. She got the things she thought she didn't deserve. And since we worked together, she's made a 5-figure increase in her salary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over $50,000. But that was the cherry on top. Once you learn to love the journey, you become the destination. And that's how she used what she already had. The Momentology Method is a framework that helps you get clarity on what you truly want to focus on, gain momentum, and allow you to take daily action towards your goals. And I know you have a lot to do and you believed it was all yours to deal with, right? Well, that's the colonial patriarchal BS that you've been told. As Jim Rohn would say, I wouldn't sign up for that class. She was able to identify who she was and who she damn sure wasn't, advocate for herself and what she wanted, and stand on business when it came time to negotiate from a position of power and not posturing. I'm just saying, these are things that we have within us, and it feels like it's impossible when you're in it, and I understand that. But all you have to do, strangely enough, is make a step. Is take a step, and then you take the next one. It's like that easy button. Y'all know that easy button, the staples, right? Um, just imagine you have an imaginary easy button on your desk or carry it with you. And when the ish hits the fan, as it will, when you are stressed, when things are feeling like they're coming at you from everyone, just tap that easy button. It's okay. I got this. And I don't care if you got a ding dong Dixie that thing like now to the cows come home. It's just a matter of reset and reclaiming your day because nobody can do this but you. It's all yours. And the possibilities are truly endless. All right, so back to this. I said we would come back to the who are you. So anybody want to give me some of the who are yous? What did you come up with in your heart? Oh, here comes a few. Helper, teacher, fantastic. Yes, leader, friend, woman, teacher, maven, sister. Yes, the archetypes. Thank you for saying that. Oh, we got some more grandmas. Hey, grandma, I'm the newest in the grandma club. Hello, hello. All right. So just start to think about what are all your titles? What are the things that you are? Healer. I love that. Again, once you learn to love the journey, you become the destination, right? All those things you underlined, those are you. All those things you circled, those are you. And it's okay. It's right now, but it's not forever. You're on a journey. We all are. And it's not the destination or the goal, but who you become in pursuit of the goal. If you focus on the now, I'm talking about hitting that button every time you need to, you chip away at the big story that it's too big, that it's too much. Those of you who may be familiar with working with children with ADHD, pervasive developmental disorder, or other processing disorders, know that these children sometimes, and us adults, right, in all honesty, cannot process a lot of information at one time. So you have to break it down. You have to break it into small things. I am a sticky person, for better or for worse, love it or hate it. I have stickies all over the place. Do what works for you. And don't ever let somebody tell you that your thing, your way of doing it is not the way. Your way is the way until you decide that it's not the way, right? I use stickies. Whatever it is that you need to get yourself to understanding, I'm going to tackle this one thing right now in this moment, and the other things can wait. A lot of times what we do is what I like to call stacking, right? We worry about the past, we're stuck in the present, and then we're concerned with the future. Well, no wonder you're stuck because you're going in three different directions. You can only deal with what's in front of you right now. And yes, you might have a bill for $1,578, right? And it's due in 2 weeks and you don't have the money. But guess what? It's not due today. And that's not irresponsible, right? It's not irresponsible. It's not to say that you're not going to work on a plan to get the $1,576, but you can't let that 1576 that's due in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, a month interfere with what you need to do right now in this moment. And that's what the Momentology Method is about. It's not about pretending like things don't happen and sticking your head in the sand. It's about dealing with the real, dealing with what's in front of you, and doing the best thing you can do for yourself at that given moment. And I want you to be able to pull power from your purpose. If you can think back to a time when you overcame a significant challenge, I'm sure you learned something about yourself in that experience. Maybe you learned that you can do hard things. How can you use that to your advantage right now? You have to commit to the very first step, and then another, and then another. And before you did it, you hadn't done it, right? Well, it starts with an agreement. Before any journey, you have to pack the car, put the coordinates in. Even if you don't know where you're going, you prepare for the unknown. You need gas, maybe a tire jack for emergencies. What is it that you want? Whatever you're focusing on, that's the direction you'll go. Now, for me, three of my top words are limitless, unstoppable, and unbothered. That just makes me feel good. Like poppy collar kind of feel good. I love the word unbothered. It makes me happy. Now I can show you how to create a set of affirmations that feel real and possible and inspiring, specifically for wherever you are emotionally. So a lot of people say that they don't like affirmations and they can't do affirmations and looking in the mirror and saying, I feel awesome. I am skinny. Doesn't work. And that's because generally it doesn't work. And that's because you haven't fertilized your mind. You're just saying words. You're just saying stuff. You Google some stuff and you said it, and then you're wondering why you still feel like crap. You feel like crap because those words don't mean anything to you. So, what are you focused on? It helps to center yourself and whatever your goals are. And I'm not talking about smart goals. So, if any of you like smart goals, have at it. Not my thing. But I'm talking real goals, goals that are strong enough to push you, but not so heavy that you give up before you get started. Maybe you've tried affirmations, but this is not that, because there's nothing wrong with affirmations if done right. And research has shown that the sound of your voice, even if you don't like to hear it, can be very powerful. And repeating self-affirmations produces physical changes in the parts of your body and your brain that regulate self-processing and can change your behaviors. Now, I help my clients build a blueprint to design the life they want, and it starts with the agreement. It's different for everyone, right? I can show you how to create your own using words that mean something to you, that aren't just things that you pull down off the internet, something that evokes an emotion, desire in you, and makes you more determined to do and live and be the life that you want. Next one is what I be. Who is it that you need to be to do what you need to do? Number 3 is what I see. You will never have beyond your ability to see yourself in the moment. Then don't mess with me. You are built for such a time as this. And lastly, you are creating a life by design rather than default. So here's how it works. Step 1 is awareness. So this is the part where we have an awareness of the problem, awareness of our skill sets, awareness of whatever's going on. We're getting clarity, right? We're peeling it back, right? It's like that little thing in the back of your head, like this can't be life. Something is not right, right? It's about getting clear on the outcome that you want and who you need to become in order to get it. You know that there's more to be, to do, or to have. Next is gratitude. Now, we think this is easy. I know you think you're grateful. I'm grateful, but yeah, are you really? How many times a day do you think you complain about anything? Spouse, kids, parents, job, right? Every time we complain, every time we let out negative energy, that is the opposite of gratitude. So most of us, we forget to do it, or we think we're doing it wrong, so we just get it all confused. So I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it so you can't get it wrong, and you can see how powerful gratituding, and yes, I make up words, because look, if Colonel, COLO, yeah, if that's a word, yeah, I can make up words. But radical gratitude really is powerful. And step 3 is expectance. Now, this one is trickier. Uh, most people get stuck here. They don't want to expect because then they'll be disappointed. And I understand where that comes from. We're taught by our parents and society and others that we shouldn't be entitled. We shouldn't expect anything. And that we have to earn it. And if it comes too easily, then, well, you just don't deserve it. But when you do this right, you're able to break up those beliefs, take them away, move past them to achieve the goals that you want. And expectance is just you getting exactly what you expect. I'll give you a really quick example. You ever go for a job and you're like, okay, I got all those things. I'm putting everything on this application, or I'm sending in my resume, I'm writing the cover letter. And maybe it's an internal job, right? And there's someone else that's in your company that's going for the same job, and it's highly contested. And you're like, I want this job. I want this job. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I got all this stuff. And then you don't get it. And what's the first thing you say? I knew it. Wait a minute. I thought you knew you were going to get it. If you knew it, that means you were actually circumventing and cutting off the thing that you said that you want. So you didn't actually believe it, right? And we do that a lot, unfortunately. So let's go to the stages. Just a little bit more detail. So I believe that you're a world changer. Now, you might not acknowledge it yet, but it's in there. I can see it. And if you're doubting you're a world changer, it might be because you just don't feel like you've done anything substantial yet, right? I mean, a world changer is pretty epic, but let's test it. How would you like to be introduced to the world changer in you right now, today? All right, we're going to do a little bit of a mock exercise. We started with the mantra, the agreement, and once you've identified how you want to feel, the words that make you feel the way you want, you can connect to who you are right now in this moment. And so write down who I be, what I see, don't mess with me. Second is who I be. So we did the agreement, who I be. This is something that you can kind of put away for later, but you can come back to it over and over again. So you put your goal at the top or the problem that you're having, right? And then you put the words blame, same, name, and tame. Draw 3 lines. The first column, blame, is where I want you to understand that you cannot continue to blame other people for you not getting to where you want to be. Even if there's legitimate reasons, doesn't mean that someone isn't standing in your way, but it's not going to help you to continue to blame partners, bosses, staff, family members. It doesn't matter. And especially if you're beating yourself up for not doing a thing, right? You just got to stop it. We are human. Next, don't worry if the problem is the same as somebody else and they seem to have handled it differently. Who cares? When you think, oh, well, so and so had the same problem and they were able to fix it, or they got to mid 6 figures just like that, don't fall for it. You never know someone else's circumstances, and they certainly don't know yours. So that's blame and same. That's blame, just don't do it. Same, no comparing yourself to anyone else. And then next is name. What is truly your problem? And this is where you start digging. So you're having an experience that's not to your liking. Why? Did you not expect it? Back to that job example, I think you might have been expecting it. Success is getting what we want, but happiness is wanting what we get. So maybe, just maybe, you got what someone else wanted and you thought you wanted it too. Have you ever ordered something that came highly recommended on the menu and you know deep down that's not what you wanted, but you went up mad and hungry all night because you didn't get what you wanted? Well, call it what you want. You sold you out. You're eating this nasty food when you should have ordered the food you love. You're taking in something that you didn't want and then you complain about it. But it's okay. Looking and focusing on who you really are starts with taming that beast. So now that you've named the thing, be honest, you see where you are, you're stuck, you take the scariness out of it and break it down into little pieces. And that's next. What I see. You have determined the space you want to be in the world. And you're like, okay, who am I to do all these fantastic things? What gives me the right to be, have, or do whatever I want? The answers can be found all around you. Gratitude is about taking inventory. You ever heard count your blessings? Right? So what are the experiences in your life that you are grateful for and why? And what do you do better than anyone else? What gives you the most joy? What are you asked to do by other people? What could you do with your eyes closed and one hand tied behind your back? And why come, yes, I said why come? Why come you have to make things so hard? It only took me an hour or so to do this. It's not that big of a deal. Really? You know, the 15 years that you've been killing it is the reason why that thing took you an hour, but it takes someone else a whole day, right? Own your greatness, please and thank you. That goes into don't mess with me. When you start to have that confidence, owning your greatness, seeing what's around you, right? You start to say, oh, wait a minute. I actually am a badass. Like, I actually can do hard things. You know, when it's time to write a resume and you or go on an interview and you forgot all the stuff that you've ever done? You ever notice how humble you are until someone overlooks you or doesn't notice how hard you work or takes credit for something that you did? All of a sudden you go from, oh, shucks, it wasn't that big of a deal, to I don't believe that so-and-so had a nerve and audacity. And it's always the nerve and audacity. I'm not sure why they go together. All right. But to take that from me, then all of a sudden you can talk about yourself. You can talk about how good you are. I need you to keep that same energy. And sidebar, some of y'all need to learn how to take a compliment. I know it's hard. I know we've been told to be cute and demure, right? But sometimes a compliment is just that you've earned it. You've been doing something really good. Acknowledge it so that you can go into the next good thing. Sometimes you need to get out of your own way. Give yourself an alter ego, right? Look at Sasha Fierce. Give yourself an alter ego and look at the world, how that alter ego, that badass, that very confident and convicted person would see the world. Give yourself a break. And lastly, the blueprint. You redefine success by redefining failure. Most of us fail at what we're supposed to be. We only succeed at what we're meant to be. So, what do you find yourself daydreaming about when you have spare time? I don't care if it's kitten videos and stand-up comedy. Start there and design the blueprint around what you care about. Fill it with things you're good at, sprinkling ways to serve those you want to serve. And don't forget, you're worth every cent. And you make sure that math is mathing. I am so loving the multi-passionate weirdo. I'm digging it. This is one of my favorite quotes. Never give anyone the power to feed you, because then they have the power to starve you. Let that sink in for just a minute. I need you to do your best to avoid negative mindsets and always pursue your goals with integrity and compassion, right? If it, now, don't get me wrong, that does not mean quit your job. So nobody take that message away. What I'm saying is, if you rely on one source, one thing, one person, one entity, one anything to provide all your happiness, all your self-worthiness, you are giving your power away. And it matters, right? Who feeds you, what feeds you, and what your environment is. I love powerful questions. Love, 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 love. I would ask you to consider what it is that you eat. EAT, your environment, attitude, and the time. Your environment. Why are you with these people or in these situations? Your attitude. How do they make you feel? Time. Never spend. Never ever spend. I stopped spending a long time ago. I don't spend anything. I invest time. I invest money. I invest resources into people and circumstances that nourish me. Spent is gone. Investing, there is a return. Again, EAT, your environment. Put yourself in a place that gives you the best possible chance at success unapologetically. If this particular crowd, this particular people, this particular department, this particular whatever it is, doesn't serve you, you need to find your way out. And there are ways to do that. And your approach is everything. How are you navigating the situation? And what are you investing your time in, with whom, and when? That's how you make sure that you eat powerfully. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This is one of, I love Japanese philosophy. They have so many really cool and interesting ways of looking at the world. Ikigai is the Japanese concept meaning a reason for being, right? A reason for life. And there's these four kind of overlapping diagrams. One is what you love. The other is what the world needs, what we can be paid for, and what we're good at. And then sort of in the middle, that's like your ikigai. Now, I see it a little bit differently in that I think we set ourselves up if we think that we're going to find that one job, we're going to build that one business, right? That fills all those things. We love it, we get paid for it, the world needs it, and we're good at it. And so a lot of times we burn ourselves out looking for that ikigai. We might not be calling it ikigai because we don't speak Japanese, but we're looking for it and we're burning ourselves out. How about we find ways to do what we love, serve the world, do what we're good at, and do something we can be paid for? They don't all necessarily have to coexist in the exact same thing, but our lives should be filled with things that do that for us. This is my little empathy man. It's a simple draw. Theodore Roosevelt once said that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you can't care if you don't understand. You have to be aware that there are other people in the world. Hello. And they may think things differently than you do. And that's okay. You don't assume they're wrong. Just understand why they differ. So this little empathy man is a quick little draw, even if you can't draw. And it just reminds you that whenever you're having a conversation with anyone, a negotiation, it might be a sales call, it might be, at work, it might be with your kids or spouse, whatever you say and the situation you're in, how do you think they think about it? What are they feeling about it? What are they saying? What are they doing? And what are they seeing? Right? So all the senses. In human-centered design, I use this all the time. And I do a lot of empathy mapping just to help my customers understand their customers. Because if you want someone to buy something, right? Buy an idea, right? Buy an actual product, and you don't know how they think, and you give them something that they think is crap. You wonder why you're not making any sales. Well, because you didn't put yourself in their shoes. You didn't consider what it is and how they see your world of things that you're putting in front of them. And the better you're able to understand other people and the better you're able to communicate with people, the more successful you'll be in the things that you want, because people will go out of their way to help you if you have helped them first. And many people confuse empathy with sympathy. It's not the same thing. Sympathy is I feel for you. Empathy is I feel as you do. And some of us are born empaths. I was always this way. Felt like a curse until I learned how powerful it made me. However, empathy can be taught. You think of it like a superpower. Imagine if you could freeze time and in any given situation be able to see through the complexities and walk through the raindrops without getting wet. When you become aware of all the angles, their side, your side, you know you've heard this three sides to every story, right? What if you knew the script before the movie came out? Get in alignment with all the storylines and you can write your own. So back to our Ikigai. What's your mission? Right? Powerful questions. More questions. Now, I'm sorry if y'all came here thinking you were going to get answers. Spoiler alert, you're the answer. So we got questions. In order to find out what your mission is, what's your pet peeve? What is the thing that drives you crazy? Oh, I hate when I wish someone would. Maybe that's the thing you're passionate about. Maybe that's the thing that becomes your mission in life. What will you do until you get it right? I'm not going to bed until I get this thing done. My daughter started coding at 5 years old. She was 7 years old. She was working on a coding program and she couldn't get the little character to flip the way she wanted. I'm like, baby, it's time to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. She was like, I can't. I got to get this thing right. So she went to a forum, a community forum for this little kids programming game. And she found someone's game who's had coded in the flip going in the right direction that she wanted. She copied just that smidget of code, put it into her program, and the thing flipped the right way, and she was good. She could go to bed. She was not going to bed until it was done. It's all in the command string. The code does what you tell it. Like, what? Who is this child? But she was serious and knew that she had to get it right. She was passionate about it. That became her mission. Who or what do you care most about in the world? You may find your mission there as well. And your passions, think back to your childhood. What activities did you enjoy most? And how do those activities align with your current interests? Consider a time when you were fully engaged in an activity and you just lost track of time. What was that activity? And why did it captivate you? What are some things you've always wanted to try, but you haven't done yet? And this is one of my favorite. If you could be a character in any book or movie, who would you be? And what about that character appeals to you? For me, hands down, 100% is Wonder Woman. Okay. So just FYI, I keep these at the ready and I will throw them on. I didn't have them on tonight, but I will throw them on. Wonder Woman is my girl because she is for truth and integrity and justice. She ain't out here trying to fix everybody's problems like what's her name? Supergirl, Superwoman. Mm-mm. You mess with hers, that's when she has a problem. She knows whose she is. She's a child of God. You didn't get that right. She's a okay. Another story. But that's my favorite. That's my favorite. She's royalty and she is committed to goodness. That's my favorite character. Your vocation. Think about a time when you receive constructive criticism. Because this is when the world, what the world needs overlaps with what you get paid for. And sometimes the world might need it and you can get paid for it, but it's really not your thing. And you might realize that when you get some little bit of criticism about something and you realize, oh, wow, you know what? I probably didn't do my best because I don't really like it. I know it's needed to be done and I know I can get paid for it, but it's not really lighting me up. And what are some things that you do when you get stressed or overwhelmed? Sometimes you're getting stressed and overwhelmed because you're not in your right place to grow. Something to think about. And your profession. Think about whether you have a degree in your field of interest and whether you feel like it was worth it. The profession is the overlap of what you're good at and what you can be paid for. So you can be really good at something and it pays, but if you don't love it and you don't feel like you're in service, maybe it's not something that you want to do for a really long time. Right? Could you walk away in 10 seconds flat like Robert De Niro if the heat was coming? I told you I'm not a big fan of SMART goals, not really my thing. I have a different way of looking at goals. I see goals as GOAL, gain an opportunity to apply leverage. Because most people, what they call goals are really tasks. You already know how to do it, you've done it before. It's more of a tool than the actual treasure, right? So this is where your goals, when you're gaining, your goal is this is where you're positioning yourself for good, that good that's coming. You're looking at the opportunity costs of every decision. Opportunity costs are the cost of choosing one thing over another, right? So think about things you're good at, you love, what you can be paid for, and what the world is saying it needs, and you factor that into your decision. So, for example, you want another degree? What do you have to give up to get that? You have to take less hours at work to go to class. If you take less hours, will that affect your income and your ability to pay for school in the first place? You have a support structure. Will you lose out on time with your kids or your spouse? And how might you incorporate that into your journey? And how can you apply or overlay your experiences to be closer with those who are cheering you on? Leveraging requires action and accountability. And that's why so many go the goal, but they take the L, so to speak. You have to leverage who you are and what you already know. And it does take action and accountability, but it can be done. And I just want you to remember that your outside existence is a direct result of your inside insistence. So, what stories you're telling yourself, you have to see yourself as the hero and as I'm sorry, I'm a movie buff, y'all. Make it so. Somebody else got to know that reference, right? Captain Picard. And that is it. That is our time here. I have enjoyed this so much. Just quick fun fact about me, I can say thank you in over 50 languages. So I try to put as many of them as I could fit into that little heart. So if you speak any of those languages, I want to say thank you to you for being here this evening.
Wow. Well, thank you. I know like two ways to say thank you. Gracias and thank you. And actually I do know another one. There is a sign language, one in sign language.
There you go.
Is yeah, I think it's you put your hand over your heart and or it's your chin forward. Yes, I think it's your chin forward and says thank you. That's all I know, but that you 50 languages is absolutely bonkers. But that was something when I first chatting, that was a really interesting fact. And tell us why you know that.
Because okay, so it started when I was really little. I didn't even mean to do it. I just noticed I've always loved languages, love language. So I can say a little bit in a couple of different languages. But I realized that gratitude is my absolute favorite human emotion, and I never want to meet anyone on the planet that I can't say thank you to in the most heart-centered way. And there really isn't another heart-centered way than the language you heard in the womb, right? And so I just have found over the years that learning, asking, and speaking and saying thank you in different languages has just opened up tremendous doors.
Okay, where to even begin? We just got fire hosed, everyone, with so much good information. I mean, this probably we could have broken this up. Even this could have been a workshop. And for those of you who don't know, the Survivor School Masterclass series is really just the tip of an iceberg. What comes next is we have our experts actually run a workshop for us. And so Malaika gave us so much here. I know she dipped your toes in quite a bit, and there's so much work that can be done with all of these principles and ideas that she's given us. So she is going to be running a workshop for us. It takes you through each of these exercises and helps you break through that whether it's a glass ceiling or that barrier to helping you reach your goals. So many of us are stuck in analysis paralysis or complete overwhelm. Sometimes we don't even know it's us in our own way. We feel like it's something on the outside. I'm so blown away. I wrote down a bunch of different notes. The first thing that I circled in my notes was fight like a girl. I just love it. And I think that really kind of taps into this idea. And I know, there's some men in the room, and welcome. You're welcome here. but there's a lot of girl power in this space as well. And I think coming from um a space of survivorship, and yes, there's a lot of love for you in the chat, and I'm definitely going to get into that in a minute as well. But coming from a space of survivorhood, where there is a sense of feeling victimized and feeling less than, like we're not enough, and a lot of this comes from the fact that we know, like inside our minds, we know we're capable of things, but why can't the rest of the world see it? And I think everything you spoke to tonight really gave us a shift in perspective on that. It really does come from how we speak to ourselves, how we see ourselves, and how we put ourselves forward. So I just liked Fight Like a Girl. It really, really embodied all of that, saying, fight like a survivor, fight like a girl, but fight, right? Whatever anybody put inside their little heart, like fight for whoever that is. So that I lit up at that. The second thing, well, it's not the second thing, but then one of the next big things that we talked about is, or you had mentioned, and I really want to talk about, is this idea that we think money will make us happy, but what if being happy made us money? We have a saying around this household, happy first, then rich. And it really is that you have to love who you are and what you do. And when you add value to the world, you will be paid your worth. So I'm wholeheartedly behind that. I second that motion, right? And I really hope that other people really, I hope that landed for people, because I run a business helping people. Malaika runs a business helping people. There are a few other people in this workshop right now that do the same thing. And it really is add value to the world, do something you love, and you will be paid your worth over and over and over. Okay. So, so much. There's just so much that we can cover, but I want to hop into the chat right now. So we have a wow, thank you, a merci, a thank you. Toda, merci, gracias. Oh, you have just surprised me with your language. Dean wants to know how you became so wise and wonderful. I think that's a very great question we can start with.
Thank you, Dean. I'm used to being around old people. Honestly, I'm very, very blessed that I told you my grandmother is my best friend. Yeah. And so I cannot remember a time when I was not sitting at the foot of my great aunts and my grandfather or my great grandfather. And I've been very lucky that a lot of my family have, had a lot of longevity. So I've been, as they call, the old soul, and I birthed some because I have some kids that remind me of that as well. So yeah, I think that God just made me an empath, so I listen to people, and sometimes it's much more helpful to listen than it is to talk.
Okay, so there's an comment here. I also see you providing service for yourself as well as to others. That is so worthy of celebrating. Yes, yeah. That's true. So it is true. I think that the reason why you have this wisdom is you've walked a mile or maybe even a marathon in these. This is your expertise comes from your own life experience as well, which I know you can get into even more. You'll dive into more of that in the workshop as well. So,
and it's also a matter of just being over time, right? Because it's not something that happens right away, but learning to be okay with who and how you are in the world, because the world will tell you that everything is wrong with you. I don't care what your intersectionality is. The world will tell you that whatever that thing is that you're showing up as today, that's the wrong thing. Oh, you should have came here on Tuesday. We're not taking curly hair black girls today. Come back on Tuesday. Maybe we'll do that on Tuesday, right? Or, oh, no women today. Come back on Thursday, right? So it always seemed like it's the wrong time. And I just want for anyone that's hearing the sound of my voice, to understand that it's never the wrong time to be who you are. That is always the perfect time to be who you are. And the world will adjust. How about that?
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. If you're standing in a room and no one's listening to you, then you're in the wrong room. You didn't show up at the wrong time. You showed up in the wrong room. And it very much is, speak your voice, speak your truth, show up who you are.
Yeah.
And, maybe you just got to turn a little bit and speak, there is a crowd, there is an audience for every single human on the planet. And if you do not believe me, if any of you have children, grab their phone and open up their TikTok and look at the weird stuff on there and know that there is an audience for even the weirdest of things, right? So it is really about just being authentic and showing up. Um, I really, really love, and I really want to kind of dial it back to this really the core of things of like who I be, make sure, help me get this right. Who I be, what I see, and don't mess with me. So just a recap on that. Who I be, right? This is about who we are deep down, who we want to be. This is that joy and that passion, right? Um, Talk to me a little bit more about the what I see.
Yeah. So what I see is we don't generally, right? Generally see ourselves the way other people see us. Um, I have had some tremendous, I mean, I've had some really joker, crazy supervisors, bosses as well, but I've had some really wonderful people who saw in me before I could see for myself. One of my early when I came up in the pharmaceutical world, so I was in clinical research and policies and all this sort of thing. One of my first kind of big jobs, I was an analyst and I became the policy development officer. I was the only person that looked like me in that position for 4 years. But before I got there, the person who was right next to me, she would just push me out to meetings. And we would be in a meeting and she was like, Malaika, what do you think? And I'm like, what the what? Right? She saw in me before I could see for myself that people were already, I was getting all the emails, I was getting all the questions. People already saw that I knew what I was doing. I was running circles around people at the time with MDs and PhDs, but I couldn't see that. But she had to kind of push and push and push until I finally like, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. I did do this, right? And so sometimes what I see is you taking account of what you actually have that's right there. Like you might think you need, and oh, by the way, this was before I had a bachelor's degree. I was writing policies for the federal government before I had a bachelor's. So it does not take what the world tells you it takes, right? But it does take you seeing it for yourself because people can tell you, if your dad tells you how cute you are, you're like,
He's down.
he's got to say that. He's got to say it, right? But you have to embody it. You have to feel it for yourself before you can actually do it. So what I see is about oh, shoot, I see it. Now I can do something about it, which is why Don't Mess With Me comes next, because once you see it, it's on.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think this is where a lot of survivors often struggle as well, right? Especially women. We kind of get a double whammy when you're a woman and you've survived something, when someone has taken something from you. And I think that there is a lot of social stigma, right? There's this idea that we are less than, that we are damaged goods, that the world sort of projects that. And then, we obviously, what we tell ourselves and we project onto ourselves leans into that. And I do think that survivors very often have a difficult time. And this has come up before. We've talked about this in a couple of other masterclasses where there is this massive power of gratitude and self-awareness and that affirmation and I work with my clients and I call it affirmations and confirmations, right? We affirm that we are something and then we confirm it by looking for proof in the past.
Right, exactly.
Has been, but I think that that's something that is almost universal when you're beginning your sort of survivor journey, your healing journey, is that finding those things to be grateful for and proud of yourself for can be very, very difficult. Do you have any advice to kind of help get that started? Like, how do we find those things in ourselves or around us in our space that we can have gratitude for and appreciation and maybe even some pride in ourselves for?
Yeah, that's the Sasha Fierce, right? That sometimes you need an alter ego. You need to put all of the scaredness and the worry in somebody else's hands. And what I found, like the resume, I didn't go into it that much on this particular call, but one of the things that I've done with my clients is have them create a resume but put somebody else's name on it. And it seems like it's really simple, and it seems like that's silly. It's not your name, but when your name is not, when you see your name, you are second guessing everything that's on that sheet. But when you put somebody else's name on it and you're pulling out things, it automatically gives you a level of objectivity that you didn't have prior. And also, just we're a lot kinder to our friends than we are to ourselves, right? And so, if you think about how would you say to a friend X, Y, and Z, if you're dealing with something, imagine that a friend is dealing with it, and you can almost, I mean, you can somatically in your body, you can feel the change in your energy when, if I say I'm going through a rough day, but then I imagine that my best friend is going through that same thing. Oh, you
Yeah.
feel for her. Well, why don't you feel for you? You're the one having the daggone bad day, right? So learning to place yourself first is so hard for us. It's so hard. It's so hard for lots of different, for lots of different reasons. For women, for anyone who has been in an abusive relationship, for anyone who has experienced a certain trauma, because trauma means a lack of trust. You don't trust the environment anymore. So I don't even trust what I see, because maybe I'm not seeing it right. Because if I saw it right last time, I wouldn't have been in the situation I was in. So all of these things that we start to tell ourselves instead of just seeing, never mind what happened before, right? We want to avoid the trauma dumping. Never mind what happened before. In this moment, are you safe? One of the things that I did for so my one of my sons he's on the spectrum, and we used to do a practice where I just asked him to feel his toes, because he would get anxious. He would get really anxious. And so when he can feel your feet, you realize you're right here. You're not going anywhere. You're safe. And again, for those of us who don't have processing, or we're just able to see the reality of things, they don't understand how important it is to feel safe in your skin in the moment that you find yourself in. So one of the practices we do is wiggle your toes, just feel your feet, just think about your toes. Because when you're thinking about your toes wiggling, you almost, you start looking around. You ever do that? Like you're yeah, because you can't see your feet, but you're consciously trying to wiggle your toes. It takes the pressure off of you trying to do other things. And there's lots of little exercises like that I've done with my clients to just shift their focus, right? Again, what you focus on expands. So if you focus on negativity, you'll find more negative things. But if you focus on positive or fun things, then all of a sudden the negative things start to fall away.
I love that. And I really do think it is about starting small. We start with these little things. Sometimes it's really difficult to make a giant shift in ourselves. Your survival brain won't let you do it. I don't care where you are in your survivor journey. I don't care if you've never had trauma. Making massive shifts in our own identity is just not something that our brains are wired to do on the fly. We have a comment in here. Women are sometimes taught that we aren't allowed to feel proud of ourselves. There is a quote, I'm gonna butcher it, but I'll get the sentiment right, by Michelle Obama, that very often women are taught to find someone and men are taught to be someone. I'm not going to go all on full on hashtag feminism here, but I do believe that, and I would imagine many women in this room as well have experienced that feeling, that when we look back at how we were raised and what was considered socially acceptable, or the social contract, or the social norm, or the morals that we're supposed to align to, is that, yeah, we're not supposed to be boastful and brag about our accomplishments, and it those things get deeply ingrained, and you're not bragging about, you're not running around bragging, waving dollar bills in somebody's face when you're writing a resume that says, hey, here's my accomplishments, I'm worthy of this job, right? So I think that there's so many layers deep to this, which is why I want to ask you about what a workshop might look like that would help us kind of peel back some of these layers. And I know you went through these steps that you take your clients through, and I know that looks a little bit different for everyone, because everybody's goals are a little different, everybody's life circumstances are a little bit different. But can you kind of and you mentioned a few of the exercises, but what does a workshop look like?
Yeah, so there were several examples in there that were just kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? So in a workshop scenario, we would be able to dive in a little bit more individually. So like when you're talking about, for example, the name blame same, right? So you could have a problem, or you can have a challenge. There's all sort of things. You could be lose weight, it could be get a job, like whatever that thing is. In a workshop, I'm able to show you how sometimes we just lack the language to articulate the thing. It's not that we don't know, not that we can't do, we just don't know what to call it, right? When I first heard the term polymath, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I am. Because a polymath is someone who is excited about and good at a lot of different things. And as a child growing up, you're told focus, just focus, just focus, just focus, focus on one thing. And I'm not saying that it's bad to focus, but I also have a child who played the cello. Then she started coding. Then she started a crochet business. Then she started a headband business, and she was really good at all of them, right? And so, because I now have a language for that, I know how to deal with my own child and all of her polymath abilities. So, in a workshop, we're able to take one or two or three of those examples and dig a little bit deeper so people can come up with examples and I can work them through how you would find the language to get past whatever you're happen to be stuck with. And as soon as you hear it, it goes, oh, it's like the thing you always knew. Like when you're trying to remember the words to a song and you mess them up.
And I love that because that's really describing that point. I think that people get to, they don't know that the answer is that they're missing the language. They just know that there's a thing that they want and it feels like this invisible barrier between them and that. So having the language, why this is so important, and I really want people to understand this. The reason why we need to have language to describe it is language is so deeply tied to our identity, and the identity that we have, and this is, I'm paraphrasing basically here your entire presentation, but I really want people to understand that the identity that we have, our brain, it sets the rules on how we treat ourselves, on what we're willing, what actions we're willing to take, and the outcomes that we will get. So I really want everyone to understand how important that is, that having that language is going to break the barriers. Even though you may have language for the goal that you want, you may have language for the person that you are today. There's a big gap between those two. And that's what Malaika is talking about, is bridging that gap that literally breaks this shell. It breaks down this invisible barrier. So that I hope that is clear and accurate, but that's my takeaway from it is, yeah. I know
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And also getting to the subconscious, because again, we touched on there were some themes that I used throughout the masterclass today around the subconscious and the things that we tell ourselves. Because if I say, don't see red, don't see red, don't see red, don't see red, red. Right? Yep. If the first time you notice a yellow car, the next thing you know, there's 10 yellow cars, right? That's the way our subconscious works. The subconscious actually gives us exactly what we want. We don't know that. So that's what when I say expectance, that last part that's really hard for people. They're like, well, I didn't expect my husband to leave me. What do you mean? Like, I didn't expect, well, hate to tell you, but there were things that you were doing. There were ways that you were projecting there. And again, accountability is so hard. And one of the things that I love to do is to help people understand that accountability is actually a good thing. It is a superpower, because when you are accountable for you and you're 100% responsible, no one else is in charge. So it is a way, accountability is not, I'm stuck with something. It is, I now can do anything because it's all on me. Right. And so I know that's scary, but once you start to understand that your subconscious just gives you exactly what you need, you'll start feeding your subconscious different things.
100% wholeheartedly agree. I just want to, I know we're coming up on time, and everyone, thank you so much for hanging out. We're about 20 minutes even past. So obviously everyone is still sticking around because you have just gold. This is gold. I want to let everyone know we are asking Malaika to provide a workshop for us. But if you're stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you have a really big goal and you just can't push through, then like this, you're going to want to take this workshop. This workshop is absolutely going to help you just crack that code, to use your daughter's language there, right? Is to go ahead and crack that code and push through. So I'm not 100% sure when that workshop's going to happen. We are jam-packed with masterclasses between now and the end of the year. So we have to coordinate with your busy schedule and our busy schedule, but we want to bring that to you guys as soon as possible. It may be after the first of the year, which is kind of perfect, because isn't that when everybody sets like new life goals and the New Year's resolutions and the new year, new me? So that may be very well aligned with that. So we're getting some love in the chat. But I
Thank
want to
you.
again say thank you so much, Malaika. This was absolutely amazing. You're an absolute rock star. We're so grateful that you took the time for us today. Awesome. Yep, I'm definitely getting some messages also in the chat as well. So of thank yous,
Thank
and
you so much.
this is amazing. Thank you again, Malaika, so much. And thank you, everyone. And please keep an eye on your email. We have many more masterclasses to come, and we would love for you all to join us. There is some serious gold. We have some amazing, amazing experts like Malaika, although right now I think she is she's crushing it. She's going to be a hard follow. It's going to be hard to follow her. So any of the other experts that are in this room, you've got she set a high bar, definitely. Awesome. We're getting thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having me. And I'm so glad and grateful for all of you for showing up and spending your evening with me this evening. This is fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.